The massive crystalline chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with nervous energy. Representatives from over 300 species had gathered for an emergency session. At the center of the chamber, the Krellian ambassador's tentacles writhed with satisfaction as he presented his case. The humans have violated our territorial claims for the last time, Ambassador Vextor declared, his voice echoing through the translator systems. Their colony ship entered the Sigma 7 system despite our warnings. We demand immediate action. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The human representative, Ambassador Chun, stood calmly at her podium, her dark eyes surveying the crowd. She had seen this before, species thinking they could push humanity around because humans were still relatively new to the galactic stage. The Sigma 7 system was unclaimed when our colony ship arrived, Chun stated firmly. Your expansion into that region began only after we had established our settlement. We have the temporal logs to prove it. The Krellian skin flushed purple with anger. Irrelevant. The strong take what they want in this galaxy. And humans. He paused for dramatic effect. Humans are weak. You have no natural weapons, no armored skin, no psychic abilities. You're prey animals who learn to use tools. Several species made sounds of agreement. The Zephyrians clicked their mandibles approvingly, while the militant Garathi pounded their stone-like fists on their podiums. Humanity had only been part of the Galactic Council for 50 years, barely a heartbeat in cosmic terms. Perhaps it's time the Council reconsidered humanity's membership, suggested the Valerian delegate, her feathers rustling. They clearly cannot defend their claims. In nature, the weak serve the strong. Chin's expression didn't change, but something shifted in her posture. Other human observers in the gallery noticed it too, the subtle tension that preceded action. Is that the Council's official position? She asked quietly. High Chancellor Thrain, an ancient being whose species had founded the Council millennia ago, raised a translucent hand. The Council recognizes strength, he intoned. It has always been thus. If humanity cannot protect its holdings, then perhaps— I see. Chin interrupted, something dangerous flickering in her eyes. Then, let me remind the Council of something you seem to have forgotten. The oldest rule, older than your council, older than your civilizations. She paused, letting the silence build. Never wake a sleeping giant. The Krellian ambassador laughed, a wet, burbling sound. Giants? Humans are insects. Your ships are small, your weapons primitive compared to ours. You have no psychic shields, no energy manipulation abilities. What could you possibly dash? We have something else. Chin cut him off. We have rage. Pure, focused human rage. And we have the ability to hold a grudge until the stars burn cold. She touched her communication device. This session is being broadcast to every human colony, every ship, every outpost. 3 billion humans are watching. They're seeing how you view us, how you threaten to take what we've built, how you call us weak. The mood in the chamber shifted slightly. Some of the older species, those who had studied history more carefully, began to look uncomfortable. You think our lack of natural weapons makes us weak. Chun continued. You're right. We have no claws, no fangs, no venom. So we built better ones. We have no natural armor. So we forged it from metals your species haven't even discovered. We have no psychic abilities, so we developed technologies that make your telepathy look like children's toys. The Garathi representative stood, his massive frame towering over his podium. Empty threats from a frightened prey species. The Garathi fleet could destroy Earth in a single rotation. Chun smiled then, and it was not a pleasant expression. You could try, but ask yourself this. Why did we spread to 300 colonies in just 50 years? Why do we reproduce so quickly? Why do we adapt to environments that would kill most of you? Why do we train every single one of our young in combat, regardless of their chosen profession? She leaned forward. Because we remember. We remember every predator that hunted us, every disaster that tried to wipe us out, every challenge that tried to break us. And we survived them all, not through natural gifts, but through sheer bloody-minded determination. The chamber had grown quiet now. Even the aggressive species were listening. You want to take our colony? Come and try. But remember this moment. remember that you had a choice. Because humans have a saying, we don't start fights, but we finish them. And when we finish them, we make sure they never start again. Ambassador Vextor's tentacles had stopped moving. You dare threaten the Krellian Empire? We who have conquered 1,000 worlds. I'm not threatening anyone, Chen replied calmly. I'm simply reminding you of history. Every species that has tried to exterminate us is now extinct. The dinosaurs, the saber-toothed cats, the dire wolves, all gone. And they were on our own planet. Imagine what we can do now that we've reached the stars. She gathered her materials. The human delegation withdraws from this session. You have 72 hours to reconsider your position on the Sigma 7 colony. After that, she shrugged. After that, you'll learn why humanity's greatest export has always been war. Admiral Sarah Martinez stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, watching the tactical display with cold calculation. The 72 hours had passed. The Krellian Empire, backed by the Zephyrians and Garathi, had not only refused to acknowledge human rights to the Sigma 7 system, but had begun mobilizing their fleets. Status report, she commanded. All Ghost Fleet assets are in position. Admiral, Captain Williams responded. The enemy has no idea we're here. Martinez nodded. The Ghost Fleet was humanity's secret. Ships using stealth technology derived from studying octopi and cuttlefish, but amplified beyond anything nature had imagined. 300 vessels, invisible to every known sensor, waited in the darkness between stars. The Krellians have assembled quite the armada, her tactical officer noted. 400 ships, Admiral. They're planning to make an example of us. Good, Martinez said simply. The bigger the example, the better the lesson. On Earth, President David Kim addressed the United Nations of Humanity. His image was broadcast to every human settlement simultaneously. My fellow humans, he began. Today, we face a test, not of our strength, but of our resolve. The galaxy sees us as prey. They have forgotten that we are the children of Africa who walked out of the savannah with nothing but sharp sticks and determination. They have forgotten that we survived ice ages, plagues, and world wars. They have forgotten that we are the species that looked at the moon and decided to walk on it just to prove we could. He paused, letting his words sink in. Today, we remind them. Back in the Sigma 7 system, the Krellian fleet dropped out of hyperspace with arrogant precision. Admiral Vextor's son, Commander Krell-Tan, led the assault. He was young, eager to prove himself by crushing the human colony. Scanners show only the colony's defense platforms and 30 ships, his sensor officer reported. The humans didn't even bring reinforcements. Krell-Tan's tentacles writhed with amusement. They truly are as weak as my father said. All ships, prepare for bombardment. Let's turn their colony to glass and be done with it. But as the Krellian fleet moved into attack formation, something strange happened. Space itself seemed to shimmer around them. Sir, I'm reading massive gravitational anomalies. The sensor officer's voice cracked with sudden fear. What kind of anomalies? Artificial ones, sir. The humans, they've deployed some kind of gravity manipulation field. Our ships are being pulled out of formation. Martinez watched from the Vengeance as the first phase of Operation Reminder began. Humans had no natural psychic abilities, true, but they had something better, the ability to understand and manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe. The gravity generators, inspired by studying black holes and perfected through decades of secret research, slowly twisted space around the enemy fleet. Phase 2, Martinez ordered. 300 ghost ships deactivated their stealth systems simultaneously, appearing like phantoms throughout the Krellian formation. But these weren't the crude vessels the aliens expected. Each ship was a masterwork of human engineering, sleek, deadly, and equipped with weapons that bent the laws of physics. The human ships didn't fire energy beams or plasma bolts. Instead, they launched swarms of microscopic drones, each no bigger than a dust mote. The drones infiltrated the enemy ships through the smallest gaps, then began their work. On the Krellian flagship, Krell-Tan watched in horror as his crew members began screaming. The drones were disassembling the ship from the inside out, converting matter to energy at the molecular level. Walls began dissolving, systems failing as the very atoms that composed them were harvested. "What kind of weapons are these?" he gasped. His communications officer, one of the few still functional, managed to respond. "Sir, intercepted human transmissions call them gray goo weapons. Nanotechnology. They're eating our ships." In the Galactic Council chambers, emergency sessions had been called as reports flooded in. The human demonstration wasn't limited to the Krellian fleet. Simultaneous strikes had been launched against Zephyrian military installations and Garathi shipyards. But these weren't massacres, they were surgical demonstrations. The humans disabled weapons, destroyed military infrastructure, but deliberately avoided civilian casualties. The message was clear: we could destroy you utterly, but we choose not to. This time, Ambassador Chun stood once again before the council, but this time the atmosphere was very different. Fear had replaced arrogance. "Honored delegates," she began, "humanity has tried to be peaceful members of this community. We came in friendship, seeking trade and knowledge. But you mistook our kindness for weakness, our restraint for inability." She activated a hologram showing the aftermath of the attacks. Krellian ships hung dead in space, their weapons systems precisely removed, but life support intact. Zephyrian military bases have been reduced to molecular dust, but civilian cities nearby remained untouched. Garathi shipyards have been transformed into abstract art sculptures, the metal twisted into beautiful but useless shapes. We developed these weapons not because we wanted to use them, but because we knew that someday someone would force us to. You see, humans have a unique trait. We prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. The Valerian delegate's feathers were flat against her body in fear. How did you develop such technology so quickly?" Chin smiled sadly. "Quickly? We've been preparing since the day we made first contact. Every species we met, we studied. Every technology we encountered, we improved. Every threat we identified, we developed a counter for. Because that's what humans do. We adapt, we overcome, and we survive." She looked directly at the Krellian ambassador, whose skin had faded to a sickly gray. "Your son lives, Ambassador Vextor. His fleet is disabled, but intact. This is mercy, human mercy. Remember it, because it's not infinite." High Chancellor Thrain spoke, his ancient voice trembling slightly. "What do you want?" "Recognition," Chin replied. "Respect. And a simple understanding. Humanity will defend itself and its allies with technologies you cannot imagine, weapons you cannot counter, and a determination you cannot break. We don't want to be your masters. We don't want to conquer you. We just want to be left in peace to build our future among the stars." She paused. "But push us, and we'll show you why our species' history is written in the ashes of our enemies. We fought wars with sticks and stones. Imagine what we can do now." The aftermath of humanity's demonstration sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. On a dozen worlds, emergency meetings were held as species tried to comprehend what they had witnessed. The humans hadn't just shown advanced technology. They had displayed a terrifying ability to innovate and adapt that no other species possessed. On the Krellian homeworld, Ambassador Vextor faced the Imperial Council. His tentacles, usually proud and upright, drooped with shame. "You told us the humans were weak." The Emperor hissed, his massive form coiled on the throne. "You said they were prey animals. Yet my son's fleet of 400 ships was disabled by 30 visible human vessels. Explain this failure." "They deceived us, Your Majesty," Vextor pleaded. "They hid their true capabilities. Who could have known they possessed such weapons?" "The Altarians knew," a new voice interrupted. The council turned to see an elderly Altarian scholar entering the chamber. Professor Zara was one of the few non-Krellians allowed in the Imperial Court, respected for her vast knowledge of galactic history. "What do you mean?" the Emperor demanded. Zara's crystalline form shimmered as she spoke. "My people have studied humanity since their first contact. We warned the Council, But none would listen. Humans are not prey animals who learn to use tools. They're the apex predators of their world. They just hunted differently. She activated a hologram showing Earth's history. Every other sapient species in the galaxy evolved from prey animals who developed intelligence to escape predators, or from predators who developed pack hunting. But humans? They evolved from persistence hunters. Do you understand what that means? The council remained silent. It means, Zara continued, that their ancestors would pick a prey animal and follow it. Not chase it, just follow. For hours, days. The prey would run, rest, run again. But the humans would keep coming, walking, tracking, never stopping. The prey would eventually collapse from exhaustion, and the humans would simply walk up and kill it. She let that sink in. Now, they've evolved that same persistence into their technology, their warfare, their very civilization. They don't just defeat enemies, they outlast them. They prepare counter-strategies for threats that don't even exist yet. They imagine every possible future and prepare for it. Meanwhile, on the human colony of New Horizon, Dr. Elena Vasquez watched the news feeds with her daughter. "Mom, why did we attack them?" the young girl asked. "I thought we were supposed to be peaceful." Elena pulled her daughter close. "We didn't attack them, sweetheart. We defended ourselves. There's a difference. But our ships destroyed theirs so easily. Doesn't that make us the bullies?" "No, Maria. Let me tell you a story." Elena smiled softly. "Long ago, on Earth, there was a man named Theodore Roosevelt. He said, 'Speak softly and carry a big stick.' Do you know what that means?" Maria shook her head. "It means be kind, be polite, be peaceful, but always be ready to defend yourself. We humans learned long ago that the universe can be dangerous. So we prepare. Not because we want to fight, but because we want to protect what we love." She gestured to the window where other colonists were going about their daily lives. Every human learns history. We study every war, every conflict, every time our species nearly died out. And we promise ourselves, never again. Never again will we be helpless. In deep space, Admiral Martinez received an encrypted message. She opened it in her private quarters, away from prying eyes. The message was from Earth's Strategic Command. Phase 3 authorized. Begin uplift protocol for allied species. Time to change the game. Martinez smiled grimly. Humanity's true strength wasn't just their weapons or their determination. It was their ability to cooperate, to share knowledge, to uplift others. While species like the Krellians hoarded their technology, humans had been quietly identifying potential allies, species that had shown kindness to humanity, that valued cooperation over domination. The Altarians had been first, sharing their historical databases. In return, humans had given them medical technology that extended their crystalline lives by centuries. The peaceful Ceetians, aquatic beings who had warned humans about Krellian aggression, received terraforming technology that allowed them to create new ocean worlds. The Pythians, a small reptilian species bullied by larger powers, were gifted with shield technology that made their worlds impregnable. Within weeks, the galactic power structure began shifting. Species that had been considered weak suddenly displayed human-influence technologies. The Galactic Council found itself facing not just humanity, but a growing alliance of lesser species armed with human innovation. Ambassador Chen met secretly with representatives from 17 species in an abandoned space station. The gathering was unprecedented, prey species and minor predators united by human leadership. "We offer you a choice," Chen addressed them. "Join us in a new kind of alliance, not based on domination or strength, but on mutual benefit. We'll share our technology, our knowledge, our protection. In return, you share yours. Together, we become stronger than any empire." The Pythian representative spoke first. "The strong have oppressed us for millennia. Why should we believe humans will be different?" "Because we remember being the weak ones," Chen replied. "On our world, we were prey for millions of years. We remember the fear, the desperation, the need to band together to survive. We don't want to rule over you. We want to stand beside you." One by one, the species agreed. The mutual defense, and Development Pact was born, not an empire but a true alliance. Back in the Galactic Council, panic was setting in. The Garathi Emperor himself had come to address the assembly. The humans spread their influence like a virus, he rumbled. They turn the weak against us. This cannot be allowed. But High Chancellor Thrain raised a hand. Perhaps we have been wrong. For 10,000 years, the Council has operated on the principle that might makes right. But the humans offer something different. They offer chaos. The Zephyrian delegate clicked angrily. No, Thrain said quietly. They offer evolution. Not biological, but social. They show us that cooperation can be stronger than domination. That innovation can triumph over tradition. That the weak can become strong not by conquering others, but by working together. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some species demanded immediate war against humanity and their allies. Others suggested negotiation. A few, quietly, began reaching out to human representatives. As the debate raged, a new message arrived from Earth. President Kim appeared on the main screen. Members of the Galactic Council, he said calmly. Humanity offers one final message. We can be your greatest allies or your worst nightmare. We can share our technology, our medicine, our innovations with all species, lifting the entire galaxy to new heights. Or we can continue this conflict, and you can learn why our world's history is littered with the bones of those who tried to destroy us. He paused. But know this, we're no longer alone. We stand with our allies, and our numbers grow daily. The age of empires built on oppression is ending. The age of cooperation is beginning. You can join us in building this future, or you can be left behind in the past. The choice, as always, is yours. 6 months had passed since humanity's demonstration of power, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Krellian Empire, once spanning 300 systems, had fragmented. Their subject species, inspired by humanity's example and armed with shared human technology, had thrown off their chains. The Zephyrians had retreated to their core worlds, their expansionist dreams shattered. The Garathi, perhaps the wisest of humanity's former opponents, had sued for peace and requested membership in the Human Alliance. Admiral Martinez stood in the command center of Harmony Station, humanity's new diplomatic hub. The massive structure orbited in neutral space, a testament to human engineering and a symbol of the new galactic order. Representatives from 63 species now work side by side, sharing knowledge and resources. Admiral, the Altarian science team has cracked the quantum encryption, her aide reported. They're ready to share the technology with all Alliance members. Excellent. And the Sisha medical advances? Already being distributed. Their bioregeneration techniques, combined with our nanotechnology, have created treatments that can heal virtually any injury or disease. Martinez smiled. This was what humanity had always envisioned. Not conquest, but cooperation. Not domination, but mutual advancement. In the agricultural domes of New Eden, a remarkable scene unfolded. Human farmers worked alongside insectoid thrix, teaching them vertical farming techniques while learning about their bioorganic cultivation methods. The combination had resulted in crop yields that could feed entire systems. Young Maria Vasquez, now 12 years old, attended the first integrated school where human children learned beside young of other species. Her best friend was a Pythian named Sura, whose scales shimmered with excitement as they worked on their science project together. My grandmother says humans are dangerous, Sara confided one day. She says you conquered the galaxy without firing a shot. Maria laughed. We didn't conquer anyone. We just showed everyone that working together is better than fighting. Look at our project. I could never have figured out the bioluminescent properties without you, and you needed my help with the electromagnetic frequencies. Together, we created something neither of us could have made alone. But not everyone had accepted the new order. In the shadowy depths of space, remnants of the old empires plotted. The Krellian War faction, led by the disgraced Commander Krell-Tan, had allied with Zephyrian extremists and Garathi rebels. They called themselves the Purity Coalition, dedicated to returning the galaxy to the old ways. The humans have corrupted the natural order, Kreltan addressed his followers. They spread their weakness like a disease, making the strong forget their place. We must strike at the heart of their power, Earth itself. His plan was ambitious and desperate. Using stolen technology and insider knowledge from species who resented human influence, they had constructed a weapon of terrible power, a quantum destabilizer that could tear apart the fabric of space itself. The attack came without warning. The Purity Coalition's fleet, using outdated stealth technology they believed could hide them, approached Earth. But they had made a fatal miscalculation. They assumed human technology had remained static, that humanity would rest on their laurels after achieving dominance. They were wrong. Hostile fleet detected. The Earth defense grid announced calmly. Engaging Prometheus Protocol. What happened next would be remembered as the 15-minute war. The Coalition fleet found itself not facing ships or weapons, but something far more terrifying, empty space that suddenly wasn't empty. Humanity had developed dimensional fold technology, hiding entire defensive platforms in parallel space. 1,000 platforms materialized around the Coalition fleet simultaneously. But instead of weapons, the platforms projected a message. President Kim's face appeared on every screen, every surface, even directly into the minds of psychic species through human-developed neural transmitters. Commander Kreltan, members of the Purity Coalition, he said sadly, "You have come to destroy Earth. You carry a quantum destabilizer that could kill billions. You leave us no choice." The platforms activated. Not weapons, but something far more devastating, temporal stasis fields. The entire Coalition fleet was frozen in time, locked between one moment and the next. "But we're not like you," Kim continued. "We will not destroy you. Instead, you will remain here, frozen, as a monument to the old ways. A reminder of what happens when fear and hatred guide actions. Your crews will be evacuated, offered rehabilitation, and a chance to join the new galaxy we're building. But these ships, these weapons of genocide, will hang here forever as a warning." The evacuation was swift and efficient. Many Coalition members, seeing the futility of their cause and the mercy of their enemies, surrendered immediately. Some, like Kreltan, had to be removed by force. But within hours, the threat was neutralized without a single death. The aftermath of the 15-minute war marked the true beginning of the New Age. The Galactic Council formally dissolved itself, replaced by the Galactic Assembly, where every species, regardless of size or power, had equal voice. Humanity refused any special position, insisting on being simply one voice among many. Ambassador Chun, now serving her final term before retirement, gave her last address to the Assembly. "When humanity first reached the stars, we carried with us the dreams and nightmares of our past. We had known war, slavery, genocide. We have been both victims and perpetrators. But we also carried something else, hope. Hope that among the stars, we could be better, that we could learn from our mistakes." She looked around the vast chamber, filled with beings that would have been unimaginable to her ancestors. "You called us weak because we lack claws and fangs. But our true strength was never in our weapons. It was in our ability to see potential enemies as potential friends, to share power rather than hoard it, to lift others up rather than hold them down. The galaxy forgot the oldest rule, never wake a sleeping giant. But you also forgot the second oldest rule. Humans pack bond with everything. You thought you were attacking one species. Instead, you attacked our pack. And our pack now includes all of you." 20 years later, Maria Vizcaíra stood before the Galactic Assembly as its youngest ever Director General. Her appointment was unanimous, supported by every member species. Half human, half Pythian, she was the living embodiment of the new galaxy. "We stand at the threshold of expansion beyond our galaxy," she announced. "Our combined technologies have opened paths to distant galaxies where new civilizations await. As we prepare for these encounters, let us remember the lessons of our past. Let us approach with open hands, not closed fists. Let us offer friendship, not domination. She smiled, her human features blending seamlessly with her Pythian scales. And if they choose conflict, if they threaten our alliance, let them learn what the Corellians learned, what the Zephyrians discovered, what the Garathi now understand, that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology or our rage. It's our ability to turn enemies into allies, to forge unity from diversity, to create a future where everyone can thrive. The sleeping giant is fully awake now, and we brought friends. The assembly erupted in celebration. Clicks, roars, songs, and human applause blending into a symphony of unity. The galaxy had learned its lesson. The oldest rule had been updated. Never wake a sleeping giant. But if you do, hope that giant is human. Because humans, for all their terrifying potential for destruction, would rather build than burn, unite than divide, and create a future where giants and everyone else could stand together as equals among the stars. The age of empires was over. The age of alliance had begun. And somewhere in the void between galaxies, new civilizations detected the approaching signals of a united galaxy reaching out in friendship, backed by the quiet strength of those who had learned that the greatest power isn't in standing alone, but in standing together. The galaxy had forgotten the oldest rule, but in doing so, they had learned a better one, that humans, when pushed, don't just fight back. They changed the very rules of the game, and everyone wins,